Do you struggle with exercises as this increases your fibromyalgia pain? Maybe you've even had a flare-up after doing some physiotherapy exercises. I imagine this must be frustrating as you know the importance of exercise and want to stop the cycle of increased pain, reduced activity, lower mood, and declining levels of function. Well, in this video, I'm going to let you know of 3 exercise hacks for fibromyalgia so that you can begin to increase your activity levels, improve your function, mood, and your pain. Hey friends, Mahin here. Welcome back to another video today on exercise for fibromyalgia. You may have seen this pain cycle in your own experience, and I'm not going to cover it in too much detail here because I've done a previous video on this that I'll link in the description below. In short, what you see here is a fear of worsening pain leading to reduced activity and having to avoid certain things that are painful, which then leads to a reduction in strength, mobility, and function. And when we aren't able to do the things that we enjoy, then that has an impact on the way that we're feeling and our mood, and all of this leads back into pain. In today's video, I'll help you with an approach to exercise to help stop this cycle in the same way that I've helped many of my patients. In studies that have been done into pain relief following exercise, it's been found that pain after exercise in people with chronic pain is less consistent compared to people without persistent pain, who often have reduced pain after exercise. This is especially the case with fibromyalgia and in people with widespread pain due to the centrally driven or nociplastic nature of the pain, as this type of pain can be increased following exercise. This tells us that one size does not fit all when it comes to exercising with pain. In fact, we know that it's actually lower or more moderate intensity exercise for a shorter duration that leads to more of a pain relief response afterwards in people with fibromyalgia. We also know that people can experience more pain relief following exercise, otherwise known as exercise-induced hypoalgesia, if we actually exercise the non-painful muscles. And this is all important information to consider when considering exercise for fibromyalgia. So a couple of useful points that I mentioned to all my patients before starting an exercise plan are these. Exercising non-painful body areas if possible, as well as using low to moderate intensity exercises such as walking, may be useful as a first step. Also, that individuals' beliefs, expectations, and exercise preferences should be assessed before exercise prescription for a more favourable outcome. This second point brings me nicely onto the next part of this video. Values are what provide meaning and importance to our lives, and like a compass, values are what give our life direction. A way to think of your values is thinking about how you'd like to be remembered when you finally leave this earth. In a morbid but very effective way, what do you want people to say about you at your eulogy at your funeral? So to help you think of your values, I'll tell you what mine are. So I have personal growth and achievement, I have fun and freedom, and I have kindness and helping others. The reason that it's important to identify values is because a lot of my patients tell me that they can't do the previously enjoyed activities that they used to do. So if we can identify the meaning underneath the activity, so why it is so important to them, and identify the value that's underlying that, we can help people to connect with their values in a different way. I've done a previous video on identifying your values that I'll leave a link to in the description below to watch after this one. When it comes to being active in line with your values, you can ask yourself the question, is doing something worth it, knowing you're going to be in more pain after? There will be some things that are, and this may reflect what you value. For example, spending time with family and going for a day out with them at the weekend may be worth it if you value, family and connection with others, even if you're going to have more pain after. Something like cleaning the house may not be worth it for pain after, and that's probably because it might not be something that's high on that value list for you. So where we can tie values into exercises themselves is through this understanding of when we should shift between tissue-based exercises and values-based exercises. When we present with something that's quite mechanical and localized in nature, for example, an Achilles tendinopathy or a tennis elbow, so that's when the physiotherapist or whoever's setting these exercises for you should shift more towards tissue-targeted exercises. So, for example, an exercise program specifically for that tendon. However, if your pain is more centrally sensitized, it's non-anatomical or non-regional or non-structural, it's a bit more variable and unpredictable, and it's a bit more widespread like it is in fibromyalgia, That's when we should move away from tissue-based exercises towards values-based approaches. But this is often where we go wrong as physiotherapists when setting exercises for people with widespread pain or fibromyalgia. We stick to tissue-based exercises because that's what we've been taught and that's what we know. In fibromyalgia, there is a sensitization of the nervous system as a whole that leads to pain being felt in different parts of the body. So rather than targeting specific body parts with exercises, we need to focus on the person, that's you, as a whole, and that's where our values-based exercises comes in. But more on this in the final part. So let's now shift our focus towards goals. Goals that we set may be around things like lifestyle, work, medication, mood, health, physical activity, or social engagement. It can be anything that is important to you. But the goal should be meaningful to you, in line with your values, and it should be functional rather than pain specific, because we know that we can't always have an immediate influence over pain, and it's important to focus on the activities that you'd like to return to. The difference between goals and values is that goals have an endpoint, so something that we're aiming towards to achieve, whereas values don't have an endpoint. They're a continuous thing that we live our life in line with. Going back to the compass analogy, the goal is the destination you're trying to get to, the value is just the direction in which you're traveling. So I'm going to share some long-term goals that were set by my own patients and help you to see what the value is underlying that goal. So one of my patients, she had the goal of returning to dancing for 30 minutes once a week with her husband. And the underlying value of this goal we identified was for her to be spending time with her partner and also music. They were both her values underlying that. Another lady, she had a goal of being able to walk half a mile to take her children to the park twice a week. The underlying value here was being a good parent. When I'm setting goals with my patients, I ask them to think long term, and I usually say around 6 months. Just a bit of an arbitrary figure, but it's far enough away that we can set big goals, okay? But also it's not close enough to make that goal feel overwhelming. But once this long-term goal has been set, it's helpful to work backwards so that you can visualize your path on how to get there. Big goals can feel really unachievable and often overwhelming at the beginning, so it's important to break these goals down into shorter term goals that you can achieve in the next month, week, or even day. Your long-term goal may feel out of reach, but your short-term goal should feel within your grasp. If it doesn't, break the goal down even further so it feels more achievable. So taking the examples from my patients before, the first lady's short-term goal now was to find a suitable time in the week for her and her husband to listen to some music that she would like to dance to. This is still meeting her value of spending time with her husband, but also music as well. For the second lady, her short-term goal now was to begin walking 5 minutes daily or a few houses down and back every day for the next week. This is so that she can move towards doing it with her kids, which is fitting in line with her value of being a good parent. When we're achieving a short-term goal, it gives us that feeling of success and motivation to continue, which then means that that habit becomes an automatic behavior. Without breaking down goals, the big goal can feel really overwhelming, which reduces motivation and lowers mood. If you like this video, then you'll also find this playlist that I made for you helpful, as this goes through my top strategies to manage chronic pain. It covers the pain cycle that I spoke about earlier in more detail, ways to stop the boom-bust cycle, and also ways to improve your sleep. So thanks for watching, have a lovely day, and I'll see you on the next video.